Thanks for letting me lead you through this lesson on Grandma Moses. There are numerous other art projects out there that you could do that would go more in depth in studying her. I have catered this lesson to really work within our fine arts portion of Community Day or just a simple day at home. So enjoy. I'm Alli. Thanks for joining us for this week with Grandma Moses. Here we have the Great Artist card, and we have a picture of her here. And here's a detail of her painting called Early Snow. A detail means that this painting's much larger, but they just zoomed in to show you a small portion of it. She was born in upstate New York. There's some great information on the back of the artist card. I'm just gonna highlight a little bit of it. She didn't start painting until her 70s. She was already a grandmother by then. So she just kind of taught herself how to paint. And by the time that she started painting, with her being a grandma, it was just like, oh, that's Grandma Moses' painting. So she was originally born as Anna Mary Robertson. She married Mr. Moses and known as Grandma Moses. And she always signed Moses in her paintings somewhere. Her works have appeared on the covers of Time and Life magazines, on stationery and prints, and it was very popular during her time. Here we have 3 of her works. The names are The Old Oaken Bucket, The Old Oaken Bucket, The Last, and The Old Oaken Bucket. I couldn't find a date for this one, but you can see these 2 are depicted in winter, and this one is in the summer. So here's just an example of an artist just practicing over and over again the same scene, and there's slight variations each time. Notice also the size of these, 36 inches by 48 inches. So this is quite large. So she's got a lot of detail on here, but she's working on a really big canvas. Today, we're just gonna focus on one structure and work on that. We're gonna try to fit this in our 20-minute community time. If you've got extra time and you're doing this at home, then add some more detail, add some people, add some animals. Now, one thing you'll note is when you look at these, the old oaken buckets, there's no buckets in the artworks. But it's said that this is a well right here. And so there's a story, I believe that they said there was a song that talks about this oak bucket that's here in the well. So we're just assuming it's down there in the well somewhere, I guess. The materials you're gonna need today are gonna be a cardstock and a pen. If you've got watercolor paper, that will work really well, but I'm just using cardstock. Printer paper will not work because we are using watercolors. Then we're going to be using a red crayon, a blue crayon, and a gray one. Then we've got some blue chalk. It could be sidewalk chalk. It could be chalk used on a chalkboard. It could be artist chalk. Use what you have, all right? And then we're gonna need an eraser. We're going to be using watercolors, a brush. I'm using a round brush today versus not a flat brush, okay? So it's a rounded brush. This is a number 10. You could use whatever size you have. And did I say white paint? Q-tips. This is gonna be our snow. All right, let's get started. All right, here is the work that we're going to be doing, and we're gonna be looking at the old oaken bucket. We're trying to accomplish this in about like 20 minutes, so we don't have time to get into the details of drawing all of these other structures and animals and people. But if you've got more time at home, then do that. But just kind of pretending like we're doing this in community today. Okay, so first let's do our horizon line. These are rolling hills in upstate New York. So here we go. I like to use my hand as like a rule of measurement. So we're going to come down probably like 4 of your fingers. And if you need someone to draw a dot for you, and come over here and draw another dot, it doesn't have to end up at the same spot, okay? We're just doing some rolling hills. So let's roll on across all the way from one side to the other. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is we're going to add this house here in the back. And we're gonna put this sitting on the horizon line. So we're gonna have 2 parallel lines coming up and probably just like 1 finger width. So not very tall because this is in the background. And maybe like 2 thick, like that. And then in between these, we're going to do a really skinny chimney. Can you see the chimney there? She's got it in this painting and in this one, but she didn't do it in here. It's interesting to compare the paintings sometimes to see what she may or may not have put in. So tall, skinny chimney, which is just a long rectangle. Let's put some little lines in between there to represent the brick. You can do a little brick pattern if you want. Okay, and then we're going to connect our chimney down here, like so. All right, we're going to draw a line out to the side and bring it down for the side of the house. And then do you see this line here to the right of the chimney? We're gonna replicate that line about the same length over here at the same angle. And then we'll connect those two like so. All right, let's thicken the roof up a little bit, kind of give the shadow of it hanging over a little bit, like so. All right, now let's put in those windows. It's far off in the background, so we're not gonna show a lot of detail. We're just filling them in as black rectangles. Okay, so 2 there, then I'm gonna do 3 down the side. She worked on much larger scales, like 2 feet by 3 feet, or was it even bigger than that? Yeah, some of them were 3 by 4 feet. So it's gonna be hard for you to get a lot of detail because we're working on a really small scale. All right, then we can do a little tree. It kind of overlaps back here. And if you want to skip over this part, then go for it. So basically 2 parallel lines, then you can do like a letter V, and it's kind of just like V's and W's. We're not getting into a lot of detail back here because it's in the distance. Just kind of giving the impression that there's a tree back here. All right, now we're going to do our barn up front. So it's about 4 fingers from the bottom. So let's do a straight line here. And I've got about 3 fingers. It's okay if yours shifts a little bit to the left or to the right. All right, now we're going to draw a rectangle over here. So I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna kind of probably equal distance. See, this is probably 3 fingers. That's probably 3 fingers. So I'm just gonna kind of come in the middle. I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna do it parallel along the same way. This is not perfectly straight. It's okay. If you look at hers, she's not a perfectionist with her lines. It's more about like the feelings and the story she's telling in her paintings, okay? All right, so now we've got this structure here. Let's come and put another line there. We're gonna bring these up to the middle here to make the peak of the barn, like so. And now we've got this line here. We're gonna kind of replicate the same line going over, but not all the way to the end, and then connect those there. Now let's thicken those roofs up a little bit to kind of give us the illusion of the shadows hanging over, like so. All right. And then there's a little shed roof off to the side of the barn. She has it like in here and here, not so much in this one. So we're just gonna kind of pop off to the side there. And if you want to skip over this part, that's okay. All right, so here's the windows I chose to put in there. We're gonna do one up top here in the center. It is a rectangle, all right? Then we're gonna draw a line right in the middle of it, because in hers, she's got, in all of her winter scenes, the bottom of her windows are black. So a line in the middle, we're gonna black out the bottom. And then I'm gonna do 2 lines coming down, 1 line going across, and these are my window panes, okay? I'm gonna do 1 little window here on the shed roof. All right, we're gonna draw the barn door. In a couple of hers, she has it open in her winter scenes. So let's try to replicate that, okay? So we're gonna have a large rectangle coming down. And if this is too much detail for you, then you can modify yours. All right, so we're going to do a parallel line, not at the top, we're coming down a little bit, going straight down. And then we're gonna take the top of this and we're gonna shoot it over here to the corner, like so. And then this part here gets colored in black, so it's like a shadow. So like this is the door, and this is the darkness beyond inside. Color that in. All right, so now we're gonna add in some more rectangles, okay? Here we go. Okay, let's do a little grove of trees over here. So I'm just gonna do 3, 1, 2, 3 little tiny rectangles that are going to be like the stumps to the tree. I've done a few different examples. Don't worry about doing that curve. We're gonna skip over that part. All right. And there's 2 tree options that you could do. You could do a deciduous tree here, or you could do an evergreen tree. I think the evergreen's kind of pretty. That's not what she has in hers. All of her evergreen trees are in the back, but we can change it up a little bit if you want. So your choice. You could either draw out the deciduous tree. It just depends on how much time you have. I'm gonna just do a little branch here, and I'm gonna do a evergreen right there. All right, and our last thing with our pen, let's do our fence. Again, if you'd like to skip over this for time's sake, please feel free to. She does have fences in hers, but this is a little community with different barns and houses. So, and hers is not, pristine or these hard edges, so just enjoy the process. So we're gonna swoop over, and I'm gonna bring a line down with that, a little bit wider and narrower there, and then I'm gonna tie it. Oh, I forgot my chimney. See, she's got a chimney there. Sorry, let's do that before we forget. Gotta keep these people and animals warm. Brick pattern, all right. Okay, and then tie that into the barn like it's going back there. Now we need to put our post. I'm gonna end it right there on the corner, turn it back, like so. Now we've got the fence that's kind of like here in the front. We're going to come over with like some parallel lines. Then we're gonna shoot it back this way. Okay, this should have been smaller back there, but to make it look as further than background. So, okay. These I'm kind of doing a couple passes back and forth to make them thicker. Keep those animals in the barn. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and sign my name because we're gonna be finished with our pen at this point, and we're gonna be moving on to our other medium. So you can kind of hide it down here in the fence, like so. All right, let's get our red crayon, and we're going to add color to our chimney. It's trying to minimize how many colors of paint you're using, but just using regular materials. All right, so there's our 2 red spots. Now we're going to do some blue. In the top of these windows, she's got blue here in her winter scenes. Now gray for this house. So I'm gonna do a heavy hand and do some horizontal lines to kind of show like the clapboard siding that's on here. And they're not perfectly straight by any means. I'm jumping over the windows and just kind of giving the illusion that we can see the siding running on there. And then kind of with a light hand, I can kind of go back and fill that in. We could color the door. Do that a nice gray color. Now we're going to do our blue sky. Again, use what medium you have. I've got chalk. You can use sidewalk chalk. I'm just gonna do it real rough up here in the sky, like this, not solid. Put it down, grab a tissue, a napkin, paper towel. Okay, and we're going to just kind of move that around, keeping above the horizon line. This moody winter sky, like so. Tap that off. Now take that eraser, you can kind of clean it off on the carpet, on your napkin. Just make sure you kind of have a clean edge. And then we're going to give some clouds here, okay? We're gonna be painting the green trees on top of this, but she's got some clouds back there, so we're just taking off, or eraser falling off. All right, some clouds. Take that napkin again, clean that up. Yes, all right. I've got a little blue chalk down there, it's okay. All right, now we're going to do our green watercolor to add our evergreens and stuff in there. Here's an example. This was with the level 1 where we just did the tree on there, but here's what we're going for. So let's get a napkin, get your water, and usually with your watercolors, you're gonna have a well on the other side. I mean, Crayola, this is praying, or you could just get a little ceramic plate, glass plates, or plastic, not paper, because the watercolors would just right into there. All right, so I'm gonna grab some green. My greens, and put them right here. I'm gonna rake that across. I've already been mixing greens right there. inflame my brush a little bit because I'm going to go grab a new color, which is I'm going to get a little bit of brown to add to that to darken it up. I had mixed some black there earlier. The great thing about using your wells here is that you let it dry flat. I can come back and use these colors again. See how these are dry? All I have to do is add water to it and I can use them again. All right, let's get our rolling hills. So round brush, I'm staying above this horizon line. If I have too much water, then it's gonna kind of run all over the place. So you may need to tap it on your napkin. We're gonna go across, we're gonna do a bump. Paint that in. Let's do another rolling hill. And it's fine to grab like some other colors, like other greens, because they're at different distances. Let's go around our house right here. And let's real gently, you don't want to have too much water to get on your house. I fill around that, and we are going to put some snow back here, so that will cover it up a little bit. I'm going to paint on top of my tree, because that pen will just show through. And another hill over here. Take a little paint off. I'm going to get a darker, make it darker, maybe do a hill way in the background there. Feel free to simplify this or complicate it as much as time allows. If you don't have a lot of time, then don't put as many hills in. All right, so now we're gonna make it look like there's little trees back there. All right, I'm gonna get my brush. Don't want it to be too wet. I'm gonna just dab it into my paint. My round brush is to a nice point, and I'm gonna use a really light touch. And I'm just gonna come across the horizon line like so. Do you see it? Do you see the little trees popping up? And I go back and pick up some paint. Maybe I grab it from over here so it looks like a different color green. Now, if I have too much water on here, then it's just gonna kind of run. And I may not have enough pigment. See, these are kind of fading off in the background a little bit. It's okay. I'm just gonna pop them all around. But we definitely wanna get it on that horizon real light. Now, if I go a heavy hand down, then that tree's gonna get bigger. So I'm just doing real light. I'm gonna pick up some different color greens and browns right here. And I'm just tapping all the way across the horizon. Okay, I've got them all on the top, and now we're gonna fill it in, kind of layer them up. Now, if it looks like it's already dried, you could come in here and pop in a little tree in between there, kind of make them look thicker. But if it still looks like it's wet, if you touch it, then they'll probably smear together, which could be fine because they're so far off in the distance. It's this dense evergreen forest that's just overlapping. All right, my brush is starting to separate a little bit. Can you see that? When I pop it down, it kind of makes it now like two trees are at the same time. So just test it out. You're not gonna mess it up. We're just practicing, learning. Remember how she had three, at least three. She has more than that of that same location. All right, let's move down and do these. These are more in the middle ground, so I can see more of the details. So I'm gonna go to the left, kind of like making a triangle. Go to the right. Go one way, go the other way. And get some more water to get those bristles to go back together. I'm gonna pick up some different colored greens to kind of mix in there. tell your brain, we're not getting into the details. We're not having to paint the whole thing, all right? All right, and now let's do this big evergreen up here at the front. Remember, you've got two options. You can do it as like a deciduous tree or as the evergreen, which is more like this one. And it's okay if it overlaps onto your house. So my brush is really separating, which I'm fine up here because this is closer, so I want it to look like it's got more of the branches. So this is called a little bit more like a dry brush because you see how you're getting those individual marks. You could even dry it off some more to kind of get more of that movement. And then go to a spot that it's not really that wet. I'm gonna dab it on the napkin again so I've got color, but took a little bit of the water away. Like so. All right, let's add our snow. I'm just using a paper plate to make for easy cleanup and Q-tips. So we're not gonna worry about putting any snow in the ones that are far in the background, but let's start at the top and work our way down. We don't wanna start here and then get paint all over us. All right, so put some on our roof. Just giving the feeling that snow is there. We're not trying to get it exactly right. So I'm gonna dab some on that tree back there, if you chose to do that, tree. Then we're gonna fill in all of our ground. So here we go. Working around anything that you've painted. Okay, I'm gonna stop right here because I'm holding my paper down here where there's no paint. So I'm gonna dab in here and we're gonna go ahead and do the roof. So let's get our snow on there. Kind of coming down a little bit, maybe dripping off. Coming down, we have to reload, get some paint. Like snow sitting on the roof, blend that in with the ground. Put a little bit maybe sitting on top of the chimney. Now for my tree over here, I don't want to completely cover them up, so I'm going to scrape some of the paint off. I've got a paper plate or a paper towel, kind of dab it off, and then we can just kind of, so using like a dry brush again. Make sure your tree's dry. And then we're just giving the impression that we've got snow sitting on there. If it's too much, flip it around, use the other end, and take some of it off. All right, so now let's keep going around. Well, that completes our Grandma Moses painting of studying her the old oaken buckets. If you've got more time, feel free to add more details before you get to the snow part. But modify this, make this work for you. Use what materials you have and just have fun exploring. And the artist didn't nail it in the first try, and they practiced and practiced and practiced. So have fun repeating this project again and changing it up a little bit. All right, thanks guys.